We always hear about it, the largest exercise in democracy the world has ever seen. But seriously, how does India actually pull it off? Well, in this explainer, we're going to peel back the curtain and break down the whole system, from the constitutional rules that kick things off, right down to the tech you use inside the polling booth. I mean, think about it. Nearly 1 billion eligible voters. The scale is just mind-boggling, right? So, what's the secret sauce? What powers this whole thing? It's really a combination of three key things: a powerful, independent institution, a clear set of constitutional rights for every citizen, and a voting process that's been tweaked and perfected for over 70 years. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 4 parts. First, we'll dive into India's democratic foundation. Then, we'll get to know the election's guardian. After that, we'll zero in on your power as a voter. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at exactly how your vote gets cast. All right, let's kick things off with part 1, India's democratic foundation. To really get how things work today, we've got to go back in time, right back to when the blueprint for this massive, incredible democratic experiment was first being drawn up.
And just think about how fast this all happened. The Indian Constitution gets adopted, and literally the very next day, January 25th, 1950, the Election Commission of India, or ECI, is born. And get this, in less than 2 years, they pull off the country's first ever general election. It's incredible. That date, January 25th, is so significant that today it's celebrated every year as National Voters' Day.
And the person handed this absolutely monumental task? That was Chief Election Commissioner Sukumar Sen. I mean, can you even imagine the challenge? You have to organize a vote for hundreds of millions of people. And for a huge number of them, this was the first time they had ever voted in their lives. He was the one who laid the groundwork for the entire system we see today. So that groundwork he laid, it led to something really powerful. Which brings us to Section 2, the election's guardian. Think of this as the ultimate referee for Indian democracy, the Election Commission of India, the ECI. So what exactly is the ECI? Well, the official term is an autonomous constitutional authority. Let's break that down, because those words are really important. Autonomous means it's independent, designed to be completely free from political pressure. And constitutional means its power comes directly from the Constitution of India itself. It's built right into the foundation of the country.
And that power is spelled out in Article 324 of the Constitution. It gives the ECI these sweeping powers of, and this is the official language, superintendence, direction, and control. Basically, that's a fancy way of saying they run the show for pretty much every major election: parliament, state legislatures, even the president and vice president. And to keep it all independent, the commissioners are appointed by the president for a fixed term, so they can do their job without worrying about political blowback.
But for a while, these powers weren't always used to their fullest extent. That is until the 1990s, when a man named T.N. Seshan came along as Chief Election Commissioner. Wow. He became a household name because he started strictly enforcing something called the Model Code of Conduct. Basically, the rule book for how politicians and parties have to behave during an election. His crackdown on all the funny business completely transformed the ECI into the powerhouse institution we know today. Okay, so we've talked about the institution, the referee, but what about the most important player in the whole game? The voter. That's you. And that brings us to Section 3, the voter's constitutional power. This is all about your right and your voice. Now, the bedrock of your power comes from a really profound concept called universal adult suffrage. It's laid out in Article 326, and the idea is actually super simple. If you are an adult citizen of India, you have the right to vote, period. It doesn't matter how much money you have, what your religion is, your gender, or how much education you've had. It's a fundamental right that comes with being a citizen. But that word adult, its definition actually saw a huge change. For a long time, the voting age was 21. But then came the 61st Constitutional Amendment Act, which lowered that age all the way down to 18. And that one change, it was massive. It instantly brought tens of millions of young people into the democratic process, giving an entire new generation a real say in the future of the country. Okay, but here's a really interesting legal point. We all know the right to vote is crucial, but is it a fundamental right, like, say, freedom of speech? Well, the Supreme Court has weighed in on this. They've clarified that it's actually a statutory right.
So what's the difference? A fundamental right comes straight from the Constitution. A statutory right is one that's granted by a specific law or a statute. It's a subtle distinction for sure, but it's a really important one in terms of how the right is legally defined and protected. All right, so you have the right to vote. But how does it all work when you actually show up on Election Day? That takes us to our final section, how your vote is cast, the actual mechanics of modern democracy. You've probably heard this acronym thrown around a lot, VVPAT. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It just stands for Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail. The easiest way to think about it? It's like a receipt for your vote. It's a really crucial piece of tech that's all about making the process transparent and building your trust in the system. So here's what happens when you walk into the polling booth. It's a simple 4-step process. First, an official verifies your ID. Step 2, you get that famous mark of indelible ink on your finger. That's to make sure no one can vote twice. Third, you head to the electronic voting machine, the EVM, and press the button for your chosen candidate. And finally, step 4, you look at the VVPAT machine. It prints out a little paper slip with your choice on it, you see it for a few seconds to confirm it's correct, and then it drops into a sealed box. It's simple, it's secure, and it's verifiable. And this whole process, it's really the result of decades of innovation. The EVMs we use today, they were first tested way back in 1982 in Kerala. And how about the NOTA option, none of the above? That was added in 2014, giving you the power to officially say, I don't support any of these candidates. And of course, you can't forget the indelible ink. It's pretty low tech, right? But it's an incredibly powerful and simple solution to stop voter fraud. So, when you put it all together, what you have is this really remarkable architecture. It's like a puzzle with 3 essential pieces. You've got the constitutional vision that started it all, you have the powerful, independent institution, the ECI, that protects it, and finally, it's all powered by the participation of hundreds of millions of voters just like you. You know, the theme for National Voters' Day in 2024 was nothing like voting. I vote for sure. And that really captures the whole spirit of this, doesn't it? This is a system that has been changing and evolving for over 70 years. And that just leaves us with one final big question to think about. As our technology and our society keep changing, what's next? What will the future of this incredible democratic exercise actually look like?